Hello, my name is Ronnie Romero. I'll be doing a presentation on the mysteries of the Diphylleia, grayi, a botanical research of the skeleton flower. My presentation section is the phylogeny. We're basically going through the taxonomy of the flower. The Phyllonia genus known as Phyllonia grayi, Phyllonia sinensis, or the Diphylleia cymosa, are all related to the Phyllonia grayi, also known as the skeleton flower, founded by Ying in 1984. The taxonomy's list goes as order, kingdom, plantae, clade, the triphyot clade. The other clade is the angiosperm. And then lastly, the last clade is the Unicots. The orders are the Ranunculus. The families are the Baridicus, also known as the umbrella leaf. And the genus is the Diphylleia Mitch. The relatives are the same family, the Baridices, the Achilles, and the Bongardia, both of which are small groups of the same species. Both are found in America and east and west of Asia, respectively. They're both the same type of genus, is basically struggling to survive in that area it's founded on, mostly because of its weak structure and its method of survival. Like I said, the flowers are all kind of the same, except for the grayi, which has the skeleton effect, and that really depends on its genus, but everything else is relatively the same.
I will be covering the appearance for the skeleton flower, but since there are 3 of the same genus, I will be describing each kind. So starting off with the Diphylleia grayi, with a quote from Plant Delight Nursery, basically stating that this flower forms clumps of large, fuzzy green, umbrella-like bold foliage topped by small clusters of white, as an illustration from them. And this flower has the ability to become transparent once it is in contact with water. So it's able to do this by its loose cell structure that allows the water droplets to stick to the flower's exposed veiny structure. But once this flower has become dry again, it recovers its white pigment, and the stems, leaves, and the anther retain their same color, so they remain unchanged. During the winter, it begins to lose its mass in the petals, and it gains a new color as well, which is a pinkish and a bit green tint to it. Lastly, the color of transparency is a bit faded and light green, such as mirrors appear to be. And continuing on with some pictures, you will get an illustration of how this flower looks like once water has came in contact with it. Continuing on with the second genus, which is the Diphylleia sinensis, comparing it with the Diphylleia grayi, this is very similar and it carries a faded wine color on the base of the leaves. This flower remains the same color and it does not become transparent like the Diphylleia grayi does. The petals are a bit more thinner, and during the summer it has a shiny bronze color to it, as stated by Ray Garden. And in the pictures you will be able to see a better illustration of this, as well as being able to compare it to the Diphylleia grayi. Lastly, I will be covering the Diphylleia cymosa, and starting off, this flower is more similar to the Diphylleia sinensis than the Diphylleia grayi, mainly because it's unable to become transparent just like the Diphylleia sinensis is. So the color of the petals are white to a greenish white pale pigment, and it does have an umbrella-like leaf structure at the base, just like the other genus do. This plant is on the smaller side, just like the Diphylleia sinensis is. In the pictures you will be able to get a better illustration to compare the other genus to this one.
Distribution and habitat. The skeleton flower, or Diphylleia grayi, is a native of China and Japan. These delicate buds especially thrive in the mountainous regions of China and Japan due to the more moist and humid air at these elevated altitudes. Because they thrive in these particular environments, they can even be found in the Appalachian mountain range here in the US. D. grayi is often found in wooded or more secluded areas of the mountain regions where less to little direct sunlight is offered. These flowers are very particular about their habitat and will not thrive in environments where the soil is not well drained, moist, and shallow. During the winter season, the skeleton flower dies because of the harsher temperatures, but returns during the late spring to summer months, blooming especially well from May to July.
Okay, for the reproduction of this plant, it does reproduce asexually. So what that means is that it is a hermaphroditic plant. So it has both male and female reproductive parts to it. This also means that it self-fertilizes, so it does not rely on other plants to fertilize it. The skeleton flower also uses rhizome activity to help with reproduction. The rhizomes are like stems that strike the roots out of their nodes into the soil. They also shoot new stems up into the surface and store nutrients. This helps the skeleton flower during reproduction by having plenty of stored nutrition available. The stamen and carpel can be easily identified, which you will see in the next slide, and it makes it clear how this plant can self-pollinate based on the close proximity of these parts. It is assumed that this close proximity is an evolutionary trait that was passed down to ease self-fertilization.
The skeleton flower prefers decaying organic materials such as fresh compost. This plant prefers shaded, moist areas to grow in. It does not readily require sunlight for nutrients, so it depends on the environment to provide moist soil and compost.